Good morning and welcome. This is NDTV Profit. You're watching Ask Profit. My name is Mathew and with me is Smriti Chaudhary, and we'll take you through the next half an hour or so of trade. This show is geared towards getting you answers to all of your stock-related questions, whether they're short-term or long-term in nature, and you can send them to us on any one of our social media platforms or the number that you can see on your screen right now. Before we get to your questions though, let me take you through how the markets are faring right now. And in fact, you have gains of about 0.2% or thereabouts for the Nifty 50, and in fact it is at the high point of the day, having recovered from lower levels, and it's trading above the 22,400 mark, in fact heading slowly and steadily back towards record highs. Let's see how that pans out over the course of the next week or so. You have the mid-cap index that's trading with gains of about 0.7%, and the small-cap index that's up about 1%, and so the market bet tilted in favor of the advances. In terms of the contributors on Nifty 50, you have even Stevens in terms of the gainers and the losers on the Nifty 50. Right on top of the screen, you have Mahindra and Mahindra, which at this juncture is trading with gains of about 6% or thereabouts. Reliance Industries not doing too badly either and contributing to gains, but it is only gaining about 0.4%. It's still a heavyweight, remember that. So ITC also gaining ground, up about 0.9%. But the big gainers are Grasim, Ultratech, as well as JSW Steel. JSW Steel possibly on the back of earnings. Among the losers on among the large caps, you have Cipla as well as SBI Life and Britannia and Bajaj Auto that are all losing ground. And in fact, I would like to speak about Mahindra and Mahindra at the start, because this really is the stock of the day. It is up as much as 6.4% on the back of yesterday's move, which was nothing to sneeze at either. It was up as much as 3%. Not so much perhaps on account of the earnings in the fourth quarter, though they were pretty good, where you saw bottom line gain as much as 30% or more than that, on account of both the fact that there was an exceptional loss in the underlying quarter, as well as a larger tax write-back than there has been in the comparable quarter a year ago. Puneet is joining in with the key talking points and the takeaways from the press conference and the analyst call from Mahindra and Mahindra, which is what the street is excited about. Puneet, what exactly is the street cheering?
Well, there are 5 key reasons which I can give you, which has led to the stock bumping up as well as street cheering on that. The margins were one of the key mainstays here. They did talk about it in the conference call as well as the analyst meet. Up to 13.7% now. Now this is compared to 12.4% of the last year. Now this is despite that the farm equipment business, which is the high-priced vehicles of tractors, not doing so well and actually falling 7% this year. But the PV business has ensured that the strong operating leverage helps the margins going forward as well. They, as you rightly said, they had a tax write-back in this quarter of 648 crores, which helped bump up the earnings, and this was compared to 348 crores, which was last year. So the 300 extra did look like a beat, but the Q4 results were largely flat. When you look at what led to the stock price rise as well as what is the street positive on is the commentary. Now on new launches, the company said they're launching 9 new vehicles in the petrol as well as the diesel variants until 2030. Out of that, 6 will be brand new and 3 will be refurbishments or updates. Not that they are launching 6 to 7 new battery electric vehicles as well under the Born EV platform that they have. They are expecting these launches over the next 6 years as well by 2030. So overall by 2030 they are estimating to have a 16 to 17 car portfolio unseen by Mahindra and Mahindra in its all history until now. Well, this of course will need a lot of capacity, and currently they have roughly 49,000 vehicles that they produce. This is higher by roughly 40,000 which they used to do last year, so that has increased, and going forward the management has indicated that this will go to 64,000 by this time next year and 72,000 per month. This will lead to them selling upwards of 8 lakh vehicles by financial year of 2026, which is a key positive. Of course, this capacity will need investments, and they have earmarked 27,000 crores for the automotive business only. Out of that, 14,000 will be developing the petrol as well as the ICE, what we call the ICE vertical, while the 12,000 crores will be on the EV side. Do note that they already have external investors in the EV entity called MEAL, where British international investors have invested roughly 1,200 crores, and they also have Temasek as one of the investors. Finally, on total bookings, the company has a total booking of roughly 2,20,000 vehicles. That's currently, just about 4 to 5 months of their sales. So a lot of inventory, but they want to kind of cut it down to just 1 to 2 months of inventory. That's the reason why they are very sure of going forward as well. This also does not include the 50,000 bookings that the company had for 3XO. So overall, really strong commentary on the next 2-3 financial years. This is the first time the company has given us guidance, and that has led to the market cap crossing by 3 lakh crores. Back to you.
Thank you, Puneet, for that. I would also like to urge the viewers to go and watch the interview by Anish Shah, who's the managing director of Mahindra & Mahindra. He spoke first to NDTV Profit. And on that note, let me introduce you to the guests for today. We have Astha Jain of Securities and Rajat Bose joining in on the show today. Welcome to both of you. Astha, I'm going to come to you first on Mahindra & Mahindra. Puneet pointed out 5 key reasons why the stock is up today, and even Mr. Shah also in that interview focused a lot on the SUV part of it and how the kind of lineup they have in terms of SUVs. And you look at the capacity that they're going to increase. We have the stock. We've seen the stock reacting very positively to it. How are you viewing this in a longer term perspective, especially in comparison to the peers?
Good afternoon. So yes, talking about this counter, first of all, SUV, if we talk about this SUV part, so management is really clearly talking about, SUVs of around 2.2 lakh bookings. So I think that itself shows how much the strong demand company is getting for this SUV part. Secondly, financial results were really very strong. So again, one of the major reasons we are seeing that stock is showing strong uprise. Going forward also, what we are expecting this counter to show strong performance on the back of the strong volume surge which we have seen. And in fact, their farm equipment department or segment is also showing strong performance, because what we have seen is a 44% rise in the revenue in the farm equipment machinery, whereas when we have seen that this segment has shown some sort of a market share loss of around 30. Now the market share in the farm equipment segment is around farm machinery segment, I beg your pardon. So farm machinery segment is around 39.4%. So in this segment, they have lost some market share. Despite that, their revenues are upsurging with the 44%. So strong revenue surge, strong volume growth, which we have seen in this counter. And on the back of that, we have seen strong rise in the stock prices also. Going ahead also, because management are quite optimistic, so that creates a reason for having another strong movement in the stock prices, and we are giving buy as well as good on this counter with a price target of 28.50 at the current junction.
850. Okay, so considerable upside from this point as well. Thanks, Astha, for that. It's time to jump straight into the questions, and quite a few have written in already. You see that number on your screen. In case you've got a question for us, then do send it there. The first question we're taking is from Subodh Malhotra, who's writing in from Delhi, and he's asking about Ircon, which he's bought at levels of 244, as much as 1,500 shares, and he's asking whether he should add, hold, or exit at this current juncture. He's a long-term investor, so not in a hurry. But Rajat, based on the price trends that you're seeing, what should he do?
Well, I would say that, yes, it is actually on a long-term uptrend, and the uptrend is pretty strong. But there had been a range-bound movement between, say, 200 and 280 for the last 4 months or so. So I would say that, well, one can start buying here, but actually, if it would be much better if he were to buy above 280. Once the 280 is taken out, what happens is that it's kind of a blue sky zone. There is no legacy purchases above 280 there. So it would be one-way traffic. So buy here, and once it crosses 280, then go and buy whole hog and put a stop loss below 240. I think the person over the long term will make good money.
All right. The next counter is Vodafone Idea, and this one's from Arun from Bangalore. They say they bought the counter at a price of 12 rupees, about 12.6 rupees, and they want to know the long-term perspectives of Vodafone Idea. Now, Astha, Vodafone came out with its results yesterday, largely in line, not too much there, pretty much the same as last quarter. But they do have big capex plans in the next 3 years. They now have, they've completed their fundraise. There's debt in the picture that might come in. How are you viewing the long-term prospects of Vodafone Idea?
So now they are deploying certain strategies like we can say focus investment as well as improve 4G capacity. In fact, they are deploying 5G technologies also. So these are some of the few strategies which the company is working on. Although we know that results were quite flat, there was no major surprise in those numbers. But on the back of their growth strategies, I think in future the stock can perform. So here, if the horizon is purely long term, where the investment horizon should be more than 6 months, then we are recommend hold on this counter with a price target of 14.5 to 15. However, if the horizon is short term, then some profit booking is also advisable. Since results are flat, so might be a possibility that markets may not show such a excitement about the results, and the stock may move little downside also. So if the short-term horizon is there, then book some profit. Otherwise, keep holding for long term with a price target of 14.5 to 15.
Okay, Aptus Housing is the next counter that we're talking about, and this is a question from Mohit. He's writing in from Ludhiana. He's bought at levels of 347. He's got a time horizon of 3 years. So again, not in a hurry to sell. The stock is trading at 313, and so it's lower than his buy price. Rajat, what price trend should he watch for here?
Alex, could you repeat the name of the stock?
We're talking about Aptus Housing, and I'm trying to pull up the stock myself. It's currently trading at 313 or thereabouts.
Well, look, at the moment, what I see is that it has got some momentum. So one can put a stop loss below 305 and go long. For the medium term, I would say that there is a possibility that it can actually give you, say, 20% return from here. That is possible.
All right. Next counter is Thermax, and this is from Swastik, who's writing in from Hungary.
They say Budapest.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. So they bought the counter at a price of 4,742 rupees, slightly below where it's currently trading at. Rajat, we've seen a stock gain in the last couple of sessions, but from a short to medium term perspective, do you have any price target on this one?
Well, Thermax has been on a tear, and it has given phenomenal return over the last 6 months or so. Maybe it has a doubler. I mean, from 2,500 kind of levels to 5,000 plus levels it did. But now I would say that if it were to take out, say, 5250, then you can expect further upswing, something like 5600 to about 15900 on the upside, and put a stop loss below 4250 when you buy at lower levels. Otherwise, if you are buying at current levels, then your stop loss should be below 4600.
All right. The next question I'm taking is from Shivanand. He's writing from Udupi in Karnataka, and he's asking about Coal India. He's not specified the time frame, but he said that he's bought 800 shares at levels of 458. He's asking for advice. The stock is currently trading above the buy price at 472. Astha, I'm going to come to you on Coal India. Fundamentally, should it be held?
Of course, with a price target of 500 in the longer term. So yes, we are quite positive on this, although 500 is not a far away price target. But yes, if it, I think 500 to 550 is the basic level where we can expect the stock to move. So talking about this counter, results were good, first of all. And if we talk about their e-option volume also, so we have seen some sort of recovery in those volumes. So going ahead, and the kind of power demand which India is anticipating right now, I think Coal India is a major beneficiary, because we know that the coal which we import also, it is not sufficient to fulfill the demand which the country is having regarding power. And India want to make itself self-sufficient in this space, definitely coal is required. So yes, Coal India has a strong future opportunities also, and is well poised to cater those opportunities. So hold as well as buying on dips is recommended from our side. Initial price target of above 500, that is around 550, can be expected on this counter.
All right. We'll slip into a short break now, but we'll take more questions on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're tuned into Ask Profit. Let's dive into the queries again. This one's from Satya, and the counter we're talking about is ESAF Small Finance Bank. This from a perspective of 1 to 2 years. They have already bought the shares, and it's given negative returns, Astha, in the last 1 year. Would you suggest holding on to the counter? Would you suggest switching it to something else within the space?
So when the issue IPO came, because this company has come out with the IPO in the November month, and that at that time the issue price was 60 rupees per share. So what we are seeing right now, that this stock is trading below even its issue price. So at that time also our recommendation was like we were not very much bullish on this counter, and we recommended to subscribe only for the long-term purposes. So here, due to this micro loan segment in which this company is basically into, here this segment does not looks to be very lucrative to us. And secondly, what we have seen that in this segment there is always some sort of uncertainty which is moving around. So I think the main issue is with the segment also, apart from the company's fundamental. So mostly we are right now not very much positive again on this counter. And what my recommendation is, it is if it is possible, then exit from this counter and enter into the other spaces rather than keep holding this counter. So we are recommending exit on this counter.
All right. So Rajat, this is a question for you, and this is a viewer, Samir, who's writing from Kolkata, and we generally don't take questions that are not related to a stock, but he's asking about gold. He's specifically asking about an ETF, but I'm just wondering if you can give us a view on gold based on the technicals that you're reading. They have been elevated in the recent past, but any levels to watch out for?
Well, I would be able to talk about the gold front month future.
Sure.
I'm using the MCX chart.
Okay.
And it is bullish. It is bullish. Of course, the recent high in the front month gold futures at MCX had been 73,958. I'm expecting once the 74,000 level is breached, there would be good amount of buying coming in, fresh buying coming in, because again it will be into that blue sky territory, because so far the front month futures high is 73,958. So once it crosses 74,000, it will be making a beeline to cross 75,000, as well as the target comes out to about 77,000. Say over a period of next 2 to 3 months, that is possible. And gold at lower levels, if you get it, one should buy, because the uptrend is very strong out here.
The next counter is SBFC Finance. This one's from Darshan, and they're writing in from Gujarat. They want to know if they should buy the counter from a longer term perspective. Astha, do you have coverage on this counter?
SBFC Finance, I think even it has came out with the IPO, I mean, way back. I think it's been a year or so. So right now we are not having a coverage, but yes, at the time of IPO, we have coverage on this counter. So sorry, apologies, I cannot comment on this counter because currently we are not covering it.
SBFC, Rajat, do you have enough data to talk about this?
Oh, I am afraid I would give it a go by.
Okay, fair point. We've got so would you be able to help with an F&O query as well, Rajat? Is that something that I can ask you?
You tell me which F&O query you are.
So we're talking about Vignesh's question, and he's got Concor. He's bought a call option at a strike of 1080, and his buy price is 36.55. And he's wondering how to...
which is the stock?
Concor.
Okay.
Container Corporation of India.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, so what advice would you give him at this point?
Just a sec.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, let's pull up the...
Well, I would say that with the strike price, what was the strike price?
The strike price was 1080.
1080. Currently, the probability of its getting past 1080 looks quite good. In fact, that's a strong resistance. Once that level is taken out, then he is going to make money. And I would say that if it is a call option for the month end, then there is somewhat good amount of chance that he might see Concor getting past 1100, and he would be making some money out here.
All right. The next counter is Tata Power. This one's from Shubham. They've already bought the counter at a price of 440 rupees. Asa, this has been a doubler in the last 1 year, but our viewer has bought it very close to where it's currently trading at. What's the long-term perspective on a Tata Power?
So Tata Power in the long term is looking strong to us. First of all, target which is 490 to 495 at the current level. If we talk about this counter, what we think is that solar manufacturing, they are into that also, and they want to, and they are on the mark, on the verge of commencing of 4 gigawatt of capacity in this space. So again, it is a major driver for them in the future. And as we all know that all the power sector companies are right now, they are getting strong demand. So I think the demand will always be strong for this counter. Apart from that, their capacity expansion and expansion plan will be an added advantage. So yes, a hold from our side with a price target of 490 to 495.
Not always is it possible for you to set a stop loss and move with it or sell when it gets triggered, because sometimes the price correction is very, very steep. That was the case with Paytm. And Preet from Kanpur bought at levels of 1,250. He's got 4,000 shares. Rajat, what help and advice can you give to an individual who's bought at elevated levels and who's held on? Because sometimes the hope is that it will recover, but then sometimes you also just have to bite the bullet. So what do you do, and what advice would you give about keeping stop losses?
Is it a generic question, or is it a question about a particular stock?
It's a question about Paytm, which has been bought at levels of 1,250, and in that context as well, what advice would you give to people on keeping stop losses?
Well, as of now, Paytm looks pretty weak. In fact, it can go even further down. And if the price that you mentioned that he has bought, very little chance of recovering money. I would say, people sometimes don't get to use the stop losses, and then they suffer this kind of ignominy. I would suggest whatever money you are getting, just take that, book your losses, and try to find a good stock, hold it for long term. Then maybe at least part of your lost money would be recovered. But don't stay put in this that someday it will see a rise. A lot of Vodafone Idea investors are also holding the stock in this manner. But really, I don't know even when Vodafone will cross 32.
All right. The next counter we're talking about is SBI. This one's from Anargha, and they say they bought the shares at pretty much what it's currently trading at. Asa, from a longer term perspective, do you have a target on SBI? We saw fourth quarter results, pretty good results there, but on the stock front, what's the target?
So first of all, target, it is anywhere between 850 to 900 at the initial level. Recommending a hold as well as buying on dip strategy can also be applied on this counter. Talking about the fundamentals, results were outstanding. In fact, the credit growth which they have shown was outstanding of around 13 to 15%. So on the back of the strong credit growth and strong bottom line which were above expectations, I think this stock is well poised to show strong future performance. Recommending a hold as well as buy with a price target of 850 to 900.
All right. And that brings us to the end of this particular edition of Ask Profit. We're completely out of time. Astha as well as Rajat, thank you so much, as always, for taking the time and for answering the questions that you did. You've already helped a lot of people. And viewers, if you've not had your direct question answered, hopefully some of the conversations that we had today and the stocks that we discussed will still benefit you. And of course, we'll be back on Tuesday, Smriti and I, and from the team that put this show together. Thank you so much for watching. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up on NDTV Profit.
Welcome to NDTV Profit, and we have with us Mr. Arunachalam, who is the CFO of Crompton Greaves. Now, Mr. Arunachalam, my first question to you is, based on your Q4 results, please to tell us about your revenue and revenue growth in Q4. What segments have aided this growth, and were there any challenges in your revenue growth?
Yeah, so I'll divide this into three buckets. We'll talk about our Crompton ECD business, Crompton Lighting, and Butterfly. Overall, Crompton standalone, we delivered a very strong revenue growth of 12%. And I'm also glad to state that after many quarters and years, Crompton as an overall business standalone has delivered double-digit revenue growth, which is pretty heartening. And this is on the back of a Crompton 2.0 strategy that we got launched in July 2023, where we wanted to move the company towards an organization that works on consumer-led innovation, leverages its strength on go-to-market, and have a robust supply chain to ensure that the demand gets catered to. On that basis, today, I'm extremely glad to state that fans as a category, we have sold 2 crores plus fans in last year, making us probably one of the largest player at a global level. Overall, the fans portfolio has grown at about 12%, aided by very strong volume growth, upwards of 15% for the category. Our premiumization journey on fans is moving in the right direction. We have added about 300 pips further in terms of our fans portfolio on premium. What used to be 1 in every 5 fans being premium up to last year, today 1 in every 4 fans that we are selling is a premium fan. So that's moving in the right direction and helping us to grow. Within fans, we are also focusing on non-ceiling category, which has been growing at close to 20% for us last year. Pumps, we are a market leader in residential pumps. We wanted to look at categories other than residential to also help us to grow faster and get share. One of the things that we called out is clear focus on agri pumps. And that now consistently is delivering results for us. And in a category that is known for a single-digit growth, our pumps business has grown in strong double-digit revenue. We also made a foray into solar pumps backed by the PM Kusum scheme. We have executed about 35 crores of business as of last year, and another 85 crores plus is in the pipeline. And we are expected to bid for a few more areas and win the orders as we look at FY24 and FY25 and forward. Appliances, we have 2 categories. There is a large domestic appliances, which is coolers and geysers. And then there is small domestic appliances, what we call it as Crompton Kitchen. This portfolio, Crompton Kitchen, continues to grow at about 30%. Now, this is after many